As you get more advanced as an SSIS developer, you're going to want to stop repeating yourself so often. And what I mean by that is you have many times common scenarios that maybe as a beginning SSIS developer, you just drag onto the workspace and you'd create a sequence container or group and you do all this stuff with them. And then the next package, the next time you needed to do that, you do the same thing, and it ends up being a little bit of repetitive work. I'll give you a concrete example. Let's take an FTP task, one in which you need to download a zipped up file and extract the file to a given folder. Now, that actually happens in the real world quite often. If we've got a text file with 5 million rows, that could actually be a fairly large file. That might be anywhere from 30 megabytes to 3 gigabytes, depending on the type of data that is stored therein. And if you zip that up, you can really get some really good compression ratios on some of the textual files that deal with Unicode data. So, you don't want to download a 3 gig file if you could download a 300 megabyte zip file, for example. Okay, so you'll do this quite often. So you could create some reusable package that just does this one thing, that just downloads a zip file and extracts the zip file, and then you can reuse that package throughout many of your SSIS packages. So instead of having to copy and paste you know, the code that zips it up or unzips it, download, copy and paste a new FTP task in 10 different packages. Now you can just configure those 10 packages to call a package that does all of this work for you. Okay, so reusability, modularity, that's what we're after here. We want to be able to test this particular component, this one little package, make sure that it works, and then drop it into as many packages as we need to. So that's what we're going to do here over the next two videos. We're going to create a reusable package that logs into an FTP site, unzips a file to a given directory, and then after that we can go forward. Okay, now to do this though, we need to build it in chunks. So the first thing that we're going to cover, and that's what this video is about, is how to actually execute packages that are reusable. So how to call a package from another package. And we're going to use the execute package task to do this. Now, we also have to talk about dealing with variables and expressions and passing data between packages. How can you do that? Okay, so we're going to cover that. We're going to cover package configurations. What we are not going to cover in this video is the zipping, unzipping piece. We're going to do that in the next video. This video, let's focus on how to use the execute package task to execute child packages from a parent package and how to pass variables between the two. Okay, so here's what we need. We need, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just create a brand new project here. And I'm going to go ahead and name this child package. So this is FTP02 underscore child package. And you should know, let's see if I can figure out how to get this done. We're going to have a parent package, and then we're going to have that parent execute a child package, and get it up here to where it's not doing so child package. So what's going to happen, let me get my little pen and draw here. We are going to have a parent package execute a child package. Okay, so this actually is a fairly logical way to do things. A package is a container. You know how we have for loops? We have the for container, the sequence containers. A package can also be considered a container as well. Okay? So we are going to use the execute package task from a parent to execute the child package. So our child package for this given scenario here is going to download an FTP file. And what we want to do is we want to have the parent dictate which file is downloaded. Okay? So the parent can then call this child package, and the child package says, okay, I'm going to go download the file that you, the parent, are telling me to download. Okay, so these are actually the technical terms, parent package and child package. Okay, so we've got this one, which is our child package. The role here is to do the download. So let's get an FTP. And let's go ahead and set up the connection. And we covered this in the last video, but in case you're just picking up here, I'll cover it here. Here is our login information. You can do this yourself. You're going to log into this server. Here's your username, and the password is learn it first. No .com and all lowercase. And what we want to do in our file transfer, we want to receive files. Where do we want to put them? In a local path. I don't know where you're going to do it. I'm going to put it just on the root of my C drive so that we can see this. Before we get started, let me delete any files that are there that are text files from the last video. And I want to receive the files, and the remote path is the actual FTP location and the file name. So I go over here. We're logging in right now to the FTP. And I go to chapter 6 and I choose one of my files. So I'll choose 01. Now, if I seem to be going fast, that's because we just did this in the last video. Okay. So I just say, okay, there's my child package. I'm going to go ahead and run it before we add any variables or expressions to it. Make sure that it works. We get green. Let's see. Does it actually download the file? Yes. Cool. Now, just like we did in the last video, I'm going to my variables, and I'm going to name a remote file with path. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do different in this video than we did in the previous video is I'm going to do one variable instead of two. So this needs to be a string. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to my FTP tasks properties. And I'm going to go find the remote path property, and I'm just going to copy and paste. So I'm going to use this basically as my control file. This just kind of sets it up for me. And we're going to allow the caller to change that to be whatever they want it to be. Okay. So let's come back over here. And I go to my FTP task, and I go to the properties again, and now we need to change the expression, because what we want to do is we want to change this file path, so the remote path, we want it to be done by the variable. We don't want it to be hard-coded. So we go to our expressions, we choose the remote path, and we say, we could type it in, or we could just go to variables and go grab our user variable. Okay. So that's all it is. I'm just choosing my variable. Okay. Okay. Here we are. And let's just, make sure that it works. Again, this is the nice thing about the modularity aspect of this, is that we can test this individually. We get green. Sure enough, our file is there. So let's go ahead and delete that as well. So we've set up our child package. Now, this is now our reusable package. We can call this from any package. So I'm going to make a new package, and I'm going to call this FTP02 parent package. Now, just a note for you, the file names, these are going to be attached with this video, but these file names will likely change. So they will still be child package and parent package, but they'll probably have something like chapter 6 and then which number this video is in the front of it. Whatever the name of this video file that you're watching is, that will become the name of this file. Okay, so this is my parent. How do I execute this child package from within the parent package? Well, right there is our execute package task, right? Very easy. Pass it in. Come over here. Say, okay, in the package, where is it located? This is a file system. And I make my connection to, and I actually have to go to my project. So I'm in project 6, and I have to choose the child package. Now in the real world, you're going to have this located in a particular place. You might even have it stored in SQL Server. You'll have to figure this part out on your own. There is no package password for the child. Notice there's nowhere to define the variables. I don't get any choice for how do I define the child package variables? Well, that's not really what we're going to do. What did I do wrong? Did I hit cancel without specifying it? I did. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So I've set it up now. I'm not changing any values. I'm not making this dynamic in any way. However, from the parent, we are executing the child. And what it's done, if you think about this on a call stack basis, what it's done is I executed from the parent, but then it opened up the child package, and it's showing me that it has executed the child package successfully. So I have now created a parent package that executes the child package using the execute package task, and sure enough, it sets it up here. Now let's make this thing dynamic, okay? So here's what we need to do. We're going to create a variable at the parent. So notice that I'm in the parent. And our parent variable is called file to download. I'm just randomly making that up. And I want it to be chapter 6, 2010, 03, what was it? I want to change this to be number 2. So from the parent package, we are now deciding which file we want to download. Okay, so it has the different name than the child one does. It's called a file to download. And so now the difficult part for most new people comes into play. How do I pass that variable's value to my child package? The parent package doesn't really know about the variables contained within a subcontainer. So this is a subcontainer down here, this package. So what we actually do, we go to the child package and we go to the package configurations. And we're going to tell it in the package configuration that we want to make a new package configuration and we want to choose a parent package variable. In other words, we're going to allow the caller of this package to assign the value of a variable. Now, what is the name of the parent variable? Remember, we called it file to download, right? So we make it file to download. And that's the name of the parent variable. So we put it in here. And when we say next, now it says on this one, which property will you set? So when it says this, select the property which will have its value set by the configuration. What it means is the value of the parent variable file to download will, I guess the term is not really override, but it works here, the local version. It says, technically is not really the right word. Essentially, it's just going to set that value. I mean, there is the right word. But I think that word override probably makes sense to a lot of people. So it doesn't matter that you've set it at the starting in the child package. You are going to have it set at onset by the value of this parent variable. Why file to download? Because in the previous screen you said that's the name of the parent variable. So I need to go get the value of the remote file with path variable. Let's see if we can expand this to make it make sense. So this is at the child package level. So we're taking our variable's value and we're having it set by the parent. So all you got to do is just select value and say next and OK. Give it a name if you need to, and that's what we're setting. So you can actually see, let's expand this. Okay. We are setting via a parent package variable. The parent package's variable name is file to download. The remote file with path is the child. Oops. That's the child variable. And this is going to go into the child variable's value. Cool. Let's go. Now, coming back to our parent, let's just remember what our variable's value is. It should, if it does this successfully, it's going to download 02, not 01 like what the child says. Okay. To show you how this sort of call stack stepping through works, I'm going to go ahead and close both packages, and I'm going to right click on the parent and execute it over here. And you see it loads up the parent, then it goes and the call stack goes down to the child. It opens the child to show that execution model, the call stack, if you will. Coming over here, did it download number 2 or number 1? Did number 2, because it did that from the parent. So this video is a really good video. It shows you how to create a reusable package now that you can have many different parents call that, as long, the only thing that matters now is any parent that calls this child package. Let's go to our child package. Any parent that calls this child package needs to expose a variable called file to download. So all parent packages now that use this child need to have a parent variable named file to download. And that's how it will populate that local child variable. And so it's now reusable. Now, that's the basics of creating reusable packages and dealing with package configurations with a parent package variable. However, we haven't completed our task, right? We need to have a whole routine. We need to go download a zip file and then extract that zip file and then pass that data back to the parent. And so that's what we'll do in the next video.